Work on transfers for 30 years, you know, so it is likely to happen, but any moment, any minutes, things can break down. That's how the transfer market is. So as long as it's not over the line, you have to accept that it can as well not happen. It's never, these kind of things are never guaranteed.
In terms of Sanchez, you said that he wouldn't go unless you found a replacement for him. Would that replacement be MKHITARYAN, or would you still be looking?
Look, this would be an exchange of players, and I think one would replace the other. And are we still on the transfer market after that? Yes. I wouldn't like to come out on the numbers because that's Man United problem. If they want to come out with the numbers they offer to Sanchez. I respect Man United because they generate the money, they pay to the players by their own with their own resources. So you have to respect that, and after that it's down to them to know how much they want to give to the player. But overall, Manchester United is a club very well managed financially, and of course as well on the pitch. So that's why I don't have any problem with the money they pay.
As you're watching that, I'm watching that, and the face of John
Cross,
Cross,
I'm watching it. Very stern, wasn't it?
Who knows full well what's coming.
Yes. Well, it wouldn't be Friday if we didn't talk to John about Arsenal.
What will we do, guys? Honestly, when Arsene Wenger eventually goes in about 2026, what will we talk about? It's just amazing.
To be fair, we're going to struggle. Can you update us, John? What happens?
Oh, well, I think the reality is now that it is so far down the line. I do think it is definitely going to happen. I think there's been posturing and posing this week, heavy negotiations, tough negotiations. We know that Mino Raiola is one of the toughest agents and toughest nuts to crack in the business. And by all accounts, he certainly lived up to that reputation this week in his negotiations with Arsenal. But I fully expect MKHITARYAN to join Arsenal, with Sanchez going to Manchester United. It is, I would say, close to a straight swap from what I gather. People might be sort of shocked by that, but you have to remember that Sanchez has got 6 months left on his contract. MKHITARYAN has got 2.5 with a 1-year option, so effectively 3.5. And Sanchez, you know, is gold, isn't he? He's dynamite, and I guess it's difficult to compare those two players. Sanchez also going to United with an incredible contract, in excess of £400,000 a week, huge signing on fee, huge commission for the agent, and that will get done. Obviously we're running out of time now. It won't get done for 12 noon, but I do still think it will happen today and be confirmed today. Either way now, before 12, neither of them can play tomorrow, so I guess the rush is off. But my hunch is it will be confirmed later. Still not absolutely guaranteed on that, but we are closing into the final stages of it happening now.
John,
both sides absolutely resigned to it happening.
Has anybody warned Manchester United what it is that they are buying? And when I say that, I reference the piece you wrote this week about the diva that is Alexis Sanchez.
Well, I think that when you buy a superstar, you always guaranteed, in my mind and in my experience, a bit of diva activity, really. It's very, very, very rare that you get a superstar who's completely without any side to him, without any attitude, without any demands, without anything else. And Sanchez this season has been a particularly difficult character. Even before this season, he was always difficult to manage. He doesn't like being substituted. I mean, there's a great story that I tried to sort of say in the piece. You know, this was sort of last season actually, but basically he was subbed with 10 minutes to go, and he was so annoyed by this. But by the time the rest of the team got back into the dressing room, Sanchez had showered, changed, and cleared off. He was in such a huff about being subbed. He doesn't basically fit in with the group. He really doesn't. And listen, a lot of the players are fine with that, and they say that he's great, you know. But there's another group of players who think that basically he is all about him, and it's all him in for himself, and he's not a team player, and that has upset the group. And he can be a difficult player to manage. I think if you can get the best out of him, then any manager will tell you at his best, Sanchez, and for me that is playing down the middle, by the way, he's very much a central forward when he's at his best in my book, then he'll be worth the effort. But he is a very difficult character to manage, and it'll be interesting to see how he fits in at Man United with that attitude, with that superstar logo, and also earning about £200,000, if you believe everything that you read. That basically earning more than anyone else in the same dressing room. That in itself might cause a bit of unrest, I would say, and unbalance things a little bit as well.
Hang on, John. Andy's got a question for you, but I have to come in there. What do you mean? You're a sports writer. How can you use the phrase "if you believe everything you read"?
Oh, no. I mean, basically, I just feel that... No. I feel that, basically, I think that Sanchez will go in at £400,000 a week, with loads and loads of add-ons. And you're almost like taking your pick out of... And to be honest with you, some of the figures have varied, is what I mean. And so we've had variation on the theme, really. And I just feel that, basically, if you go to the top end... the absolute top end in terms of wages, in terms of commission, in terms of signing on fee, I think that's what Alexis Sanchez will get, because I just think he is earning now as a transfer with 6 months left on his contract. Then basically he is earning now what he will get now is what he would have got as a free agent. Correct. In the summer, when traditionally you earn more as the free agent, you get the bigger signing on fee, you get the bigger wages. So I do think you basically everything you read about sort of Sanchez and the earnings and then some is probably close to the mark, is what I mean, because Man United don't make any mistake about this, they have paid through the nose to steal him away from Manchester City, a club which I was completely convinced he was joining and that he was going to, and Man United have paid arguably over the odds at this stage of the market to get their man.
Well, they'll be hoping they get the same reaction, John, from another player that they stole, another ex-Arsenal player that they stole off Manchester City, Robin van Persie, because they won the title the year after that. Quickly, just on Aubameyang, you're going to get MKHITARYAN, it looks like, John. Are you going to get Aubameyang?
Yeah, I would say there's a really good chance, Andy, because I think that the sort of talks and negotiations are going on about it. Arsene Wenger didn't. It was certainly in the past. He's always stood up for Giroud. And when I asked him yesterday about Giroud and potentially Giroud definitely staying, which I fully expected him to, basically sort of stay with, then he didn't actually offer those sort of assurances. And it's my understanding that Dortmund have asked about Giroud in those conversations, which of course have never taken place, if you believe Michael Zorc, the sporting director of Dortmund. There's a bit of posturing going on there. And what I would say about is Aubameyang, that Arsenal are very, very hopeful. There are negotiations underway, but I think that will go to the final days of the window. I think that will be a longer, protracted one, even though there's a will on all sides, I think, player and both clubs, to get the deal done at the right price and at the right deal.
John, a yes or no on Mourinho, because plenty this week to talk to you about. Is he going to sign an extension at Manchester United?
Yes.
Okay.
I do think he will. And
have Chelsea got a problem, like Barca and Real Madrid had, having flouted the rules of signing under 18-year-olds?
Well, it is an amazing story, and massive credit to my journalistic colleague David Eitner in The Guardian. It's a really interesting read. You would say that reading and picking through it all, the Guardian themselves are suggesting the threat hanging over this could be a double window ban, and so it will be interesting to see how they take on it. Chelsea's standpoint recently has been, well, it's not as severe, and they're obviously pleading their innocence and sort of mitigating circumstances. But it'll be really interesting to see, and I think a few of these sort of continental clubs will be saying, well, hang on a minute, if we are banned, if we are treated this way, what about the English clubs? Time you treated them the same. So I do think it really leaves them with a big dilemma, I think.
John, a story that jumped out at me this week was one with Peter Crouch. Are we really serious? Are Chelsea really in for, what, a 36-year-old centre-forward?
Well, I just think it shows the desperation, but yes, I gather that they really are. I mean, also, what is interesting to me is, guys, sometimes, it's interesting to sort of see the people associated with it. And I'm not suggesting they've got inside information, but they're just very well connected. My colleague Darren Lewis, who's sort of very good on these sort of Chelsea transfer stories, and also in the Telegraph, it was interesting to note that Sam Wallace, who did a brilliant biography with Peter Crouch, was the first name on the Telegraph story saying that Chelsea are interested. Well, you know, I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions. But in my experience, if you've got good contacts, you generally check out the story first with those good contacts before you put your name to it, especially if it's someone that you like and know well. I think it's tantamount. It's interesting with Carroll. People I sort of know and trust say that basically West Ham would have, blimey, they probably would have driven
they would have.
sort of Andy Carroll to Chelsea if they'd had the opportunity. So, you know, at this stage, I have to say there's so many people involved in so many different deals, whether it's being a chief executive, a chief scout, a manager, or several different agents. There's so many people trying to put different players into different clubs at the moment. But let's see how it works out. Because, look, the reports out of Italy are suggesting that Edin Dzeko is now a Chelsea target as well. Dzeko surely appeals more to most Chelsea fans.
Yeah.
But if they can't get him, then I do think that Peter Crouch is someone that Chelsea are indeed considering.
Wow.
John, if you're off to Chelsea today, if they're seriously interested in Peter Crouch, tell them I'm put myself in the middle of a deal to take Andy Gray to
Thank
Stamford
you, I'm
Bridge.
there, John. I've been working out hard this Christmas.
I really don't see the difference, to be honest with you.
Boy, I'd get more goals in Crouchy for a start.
Still a better header of the ball.
Correct.
That's for sure.
John, thanks as ever. We'll see you next week.
Look forward to it.
John Cross,
Thanks, John.
chief football writer at the Daily Mail. Why not? Crouchy, come on. What are they thinking?
Well, I don't know.
This is how the Philip Coutinho transfer unfolded. January 2017, Coutinho, my football is here, my heart is here. I don't think about any other club. Not at all. I know that Liverpool means I live it, I smell it. You define the success of a player by his loyalty or his titles, or both, and I have much work to do. August 2017, requests transfer. January 2018, joins Barcelona.
Well, a year ago he was only thinking about Liverpool. Maybe. The modern footballer. Wow.
Fixed for the reason that Leicester City were awarded a goal that the video assistant referee had decided they should have. So, well done, VAR. Tuesday night. Wednesday night, chaos at Stamford Bridge. It all went horribly wrong, to the point whereby a number of those that were seriously onside, to use relevant phrase, have now perhaps changed their mind. Graham Poll saying today in the Daily Mail, we cannot possibly introduce this next season in the Premier League. Paul, are you a fan or not?
I mean, I've come out publicly and said before that, you know, I'm in favour of VAR. I've seen it introduced into other sports and it's been done so successfully. I can understand at the moment that there's, you know, some debate going on about the effectiveness of it, whether it's worked or whether it hasn't worked. And we've only seen in this last week a very effective example of it in the Leicester game, where given offside and it wasn't offside and the goal was given, and then an example in the Chelsea game where you can see the problems of it. From my own point of view, last season, you know, we were in a relegation battle at Swansea. We had a really important game against Burnley. Burnley had a corner. They put the corner into the penalty area, and Sam Vokes was attacking the ball, and he'd gone to go with his head, but he wasn't going to get there, so he put his arm on it. And Anthony Taylor, the referee, believed that one of our players had handled the ball and awarded Burnley a penalty.
Remember it well.
For me, VAR would sort that out, you know, very quickly. That's, you know, the infringement was by the Burnley player. It's a free kick, and we have the ball. Now, penalty was given. Burnley score. Fortunately, having gone behind, we got back into the game and won it in the last second. But you know, if that ends up being a loss to us on that game, or a draw, you know, those 2 points, potentially 3 points that we've lost, could end up being the difference between us being in the league or being relegated.
Which is a very strong argument for, isn't it?
Yes.
Let me I'm not saying discard it, you know I'm not. Paul's exactly said what I think VAR should be used for, why it was a success this week, because of what? It was a matter of fact. Was Iheanacho onside or offside? Quite simple. Bang, boom, onside, goal. Did Was it handed the ball?
Vokes. Sam
Vokes.
Vokes.
Sam Vokes. Did Sam Vokes, you got to be, did Sam Vokes or one of your players handle the ball? Sam Vokes. Free kick to you, booking for Sam Vokes, get him with the game.
Can I just stop
Those
you
are
there?
two matters of fact.
Can I just stop you there? Ian Atcher goes through, scores.
Yeah.
And a matter of fact, it's decided the goal stands. What if the keeper stood in his goal and just went, I saw the flag, not looking to try and save that?
Yeah, well, he would be told, as someone told us already, he would be told, play to the whistle, son. You were always told that as a kid.
How many
I know
keepers
that.
do in those situations?
No, I know. But that would, see, for me, that would happen in that situation. But it would happen in, say somebody went through 5 yards inside the opponent's half. He gets through, he breaks through, the flag goes up, goalie comes out, has a look, sees the can see the flag, right? Kid chips it over him nonchalantly. And then somebody says, well, man, we need to have a look at that. He wasn't offside. That would be a problem. But the two instances that worked, Paul, you're exact would have worked. 1 year it would have worked because it's a matter of fact. Who handled the ball? That's the fact. Was he an actual offside? That's a fact.
Was Willian going down this week a clear and obvious error?
No, the nightmare we were going to have is how many opinions do we want? You think Willian was a penalty, don't you?
Yes.
So do I. Do you?
No.
And lots of people...
I think he's going down before this contact. I think he initiates the contact. I think the referee got that right.
If Paul or I were in that... But it's not a clear and obvious error for me. I think it's one of those, I think it was a penalty. It wasn't somebody coming through and clearing somebody out so that everybody knew it was a penalty. There was still a doubt there. And that's my worry about VAR, Paul. How many opinions do we want? If it's for a matter of fact, I'm with it all day long. I really am. If it's for another opinion, I get worried then.
I think what we're seeing already now is that it's not as clear as we all might have thought that it's going to be black and white, that there are
That's my concern.
lots of shades of grey in between.
As Andy knows, I was always very anti-goal line technology, not because it couldn't eventually sort whether a ball was in or out. It was going to do that. But the cost of it was, for me, that we would be led to a situation like this. So, OK, now we embrace VAR. At what point then are we at before a manager such as yourself says, hold on, was Willian's a dive or otherwise? Well, doesn't matter. There's a handball back there in phase one. Surely that should be a free kick to us on the halfway line. We're just opening the floodgates here, for me, there's a very good Matt Barlow in the Mail today. Don't let the ref kill off electric nights like that. Stop, start, check with the screen on the halfway line. I don't like it. I think it has worked in other sports very successfully, but our sport isn't like cricket or rugby, as Andy's often said.
Our sport is not an
there are
exact
natural
science
stoppages.
for me. We have many grey areas because so much of our game is about opinion. It really is about opinion. Someone has tackled someone. Paul thinks it's a free kick. I don't. That's a matter of opinion. He might be right. I might be right. It doesn't matter. And that's what worries me about VAR, Paul, is that how many opinions do we want? How many do we need? You know, a clear and obvious error, fine. Matters of fact, fine. But for every penalty claim, we're going to get it now, aren't we, initially? For every penalty claim, Conte's been on the touchline, 3 or 4 times already, because his team have been involved in VAR for, I think, twice, 2 games?
Yes.
I think 2 games. And he's been on. Now we're getting players going like that to a referee.
Yeah, sure.
Not send them off or book them, but ref, VAR. I saw Morata do it in midweek.
You see, I still think that if the one thing that we're trying to cut out is simulation.
Yes?
If the penalty for simulation was a red card, I think we'd have more players thinking about going over than not.
Would you send them off for simulation?
Well,
I think that's...
I think another point is that we're going through a period of change, and you know a lot of people don't like change.
Why is it a difficult one?
It can make people uncomfortable.
What are you going to say to your boys? Are we looking to con the ref and nick a penalty here, or let's just be honest, lads, and stay on our feet?
I mean, I've never spoken to players about going down in the box or staying on your feet. I mean, it's they're playing the game. They're out there. That's not something I've ever spoken about.
Why would you not? Why would you not take responsibility as a coach and say, listen, guys, as Brian Clough used to, we're going to be the first here to be honest in our endeavour on a football pitch. If I see anybody taking a dive, I'm going to fine you 2 weeks' wages.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Again, last season I had an example against Manchester United, a relegation game. Rashford went down. There was clearly no contact. You got a penalty. We go a goal down. It's another really important game. Again, for me, VAR does sort that out.
So at the other end, if one of your boys had gone over, if Boney, for instance, well, you didn't have him then, but if one of your lads had gone over, you'd take it.
No, I wouldn't be happy with any of my players diving in a game to win a penalty. I don't think it reflects very well on the team, or it doesn't reflect very well on the manager.
There's a difference between diving and simulation for me. I've always told you that. diving is clear. What you said about Rashford, clear. Not an ounce
Pedro
of contact.
the other night.
Not an ounce of contact. Pedro the other night. Not an ounce of contact. That's diving.
Then that should be red. Off
Well,
you go.
that's
You
diving.
tried to con us.
That's different.
Punishment is for this game. The beneficiaries of the decision are the team you're playing now, not the one in the next match when you're suspended for 2 yellows. What's wrong with that?
Well, it's what there will be are many players sent off wrongly.
All of you who
to
have
start
played
with.
know full well that you want to
No.
continue to try and abuse the rules and
No.
con the referee as much
But
as you
that
can,
is- I mean-
as often as you can.
Doesn't everyone stretch the rules and the laws of any sport they play?
So we're wasting our time.
Well, to a certain extent, no. But listen, Richard, do you think diving's a phenomenon of the modern game? It's not.
I don't think it is. I said all of you who have played, you've all done it. You know
Well,
full well yourself. You
I
have.
tripped up
The only time
accidentally once, that
when
was
you
all.
did, yeah, and then
Yeah.
went public and said, I would have been disappointed if that had been given the other end, and
Well,
Jock
I'm just
Stein
being
left you out of
honest.
the next squad.
I was left out of the next squad, yeah, it was a bit harsh.
Why? Not because you dived, but because you were honest and went public.
Well, I
True.
shouldn't have done.
I think give VAR some time.
Yes,
you know, it's
I agree
new,
with you.
it's in its infancy, it needs to be tested. It's not ready, clearly, but you know, the way things are now and the way things move on very quickly, it will become part of what we do very quickly, I'm sure.
Another
That'll be
modern day
interesting.
phenomenon.
Watch this space, I think.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? Not great reading. It's where you found them, isn't it? Swansea City, bottom. Can you, when you look back on what's happened to date in your career, actually believe that you've worked at some of the clubs that you've been to? Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, started at Chelsea, of course, Paris Saint-Germain. Some of the players that you've worked with, Ibra, Ronaldo, Lewandowski. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
No, I've been fortunate, particularly with what happened before that. My background was I went to university and trained to be a PE teacher. I was working part-time in football, initially at Chelsea in their Centre of Excellence. Had a real love for football and sport in general, to be honest, and wanted to get into football full-time, and it was really the emergence of the academies in '98. There was a need for people that were coaches and had knowledge in education as well. There were opportunities for people like me. So spent a lot of time in youth development initially. I thought that was where I would stay, but it was due to that turnaround at Chelsea, really, of the coaches, one after the other. They were just going, and me moving up through the ranks. I got that opportunity really with Carlo in 2009, and it went from there.
But do you not intimidated by these guys? You suddenly scratch your head, sat in a dressing room looking at Ibrahimovic or, like I said, a Ronaldo there or a Lewandowski here.
World Cup winners.
These are all
over the place.
top end, aren't they? At the highest.
Well, I think I had a great schooling at Chelsea. First of all, coming through the academy and then into that first team environment, into a very mature dressing room. Terry, Lampard, Ashley Cole, Drogba, Ballack, Essien, Ivanovic. It was it had a lot of characters in there.
Did they treat you well, or were you
They did,
a school teacher?
No, they did, particularly because I had good relationships with Frank, Ashley and John. They showed me a lot of respect. But it was also a time when I was out of my comfort zone, for sure. Yeah. But it was that period where I learnt the most and really gained the confidence to be able to go and do what I did in supporting Carlo at some of the most, the biggest clubs in Europe.
Do you think, Paul, that because you didn't have a career, it was extra difficult to earn the respect of the players you were coaching? Did you think you had to work harder at it? Than say somebody who's got a glittering playing career, who walks into a football club?
Makalele that you've worked with.
Correct, like Makalele. Claude would have that immediate respect, wouldn't he, as an ex-player? Did you feel you had to work a little bit harder with the lads?
Well, I think, on the positive side, that when a lot of players my age were still playing, that I was learning to be a coach from a very young age, which is a totally different career to being a player. Yeah. I was learning about communication, about organisation, about planning, about the real tactics of football. So I was at a head start in terms of that, but yeah, differently, I didn't have a playing career, but what I found is in all the environments that I was in, if you show a player that you can help them and that you do have knowledge, absolutely, and you have personality, that you can have a successful career, not having a high-level playing background.
And what's he like to work with, Ancelotti?
It was a pleasure to work with him. For me, easily the biggest influence on my career. 7 years as his assistant. And I would say that if I was a player, this is the kind of coach that I'd really like to play for.
Why?
Well, first of all, he had a glittering career himself.
Yeah.
Achieved a lot, you know, European champions twice with a great Milan team under Sacchi, but then made that transition from being a player into a coach, but being so humble in doing so, very grounded, great relationships with the players, tactically very, very strong.
Did he lose his temper?
Yeah, I think you know,
I've never seen him lose his temper.
We're back in business.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, but not very often. And you know, credit to him, he was under control of his emotions, but certainly knew how to you know, give a team or a player a volley if they needed it.
Why does he not get a mention when the super coaches do? The Mourinhos, the Klopps, the
Guardiola.
Guardiolas, most of them working in our league, but Carlo tends to get overlooked, doesn't he? Why?
Yeah, I'm not sure to, you know, really. You know, you look at what he's been able to do at European level.
It's
You
incredible.
know, three Champions Leagues at two different clubs, league winner in England, league winner in Italy, league winner in Germany.
Forgetting France.
League winner in France. Wasn't able to do it in Spain, but still managed to deliver the 10th Champions League and a Spanish Cup as well.
Unbelievable.
Incredible success.
Where have you enjoyed working most outside of the UK?
Real Madrid was a fantastic experience. You know, the day I walked in there.
Hold on, what are your choices?
No, I've got some good ones.
Madrid, Paris, Munich, Chelsea.
No, I have been very lucky, but Real Madrid was special because when you walked in there, you just realised how big a club it was.
Oh,
Yes. The history, what we were able to do there to deliver that 10th Champions League was very special. Bayern Munich was also a very, very good club, but the most special time was the 2 years in Madrid.
Do you think your name was on the trophy that year? And if it was, at what point did you think, we're going to do this?
Well, having got through the semi-final against Pep Guardiola's Bayern, who were dominating in Germany at that time, very tight game in the Bernabeu, but then we went there and won 4-0.
Yeah,
you know,
blew them away, didn't you?
three set
Blew them
plays and
away.
a counter-attack. We played really well that day as well. You get to the final and you know, who knows what can happen.
3 set plays and a counter-attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very same
Yeah,
way
set-
City won at United recently.
Set-
Everybody can do it.
Set plays won us the Champions League because of what we did in the semi-final and also
Did you work on them?
the final. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we didn't drill them to death, the players, but you know, we were organised for sure. And then the final, 93-minute
Is that Ramos?
equaliser.
Ramos header corner.
Yeah, Modric corner, Ramos header.
I said that the day. If they'd have marked their post, Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, would have saved it. Defending set play, we didn't get it right in the first half. Atletico scored, but when you score on 93rd minute to get that equaliser,
You know.
oh wow, that was a fantastic moment.
You know.
Can I ask you, moving on for a little bit from there, coaching for all those years, then deciding, right, I'm going to have a go myself.
Yeah.
What did you find the biggest difference between being that coach and being the boss?
I mean, so many differences,
Is there?
and yeah, it's incredible. It's being an assistant compared to the head coach is being an assistant's easy compared to being a head coach. I know now, as I sit here now, my time as an assistant is done. It was a fantastic period for me, 7 years. I had a good experience at Derby and Swansea. I know now that I'm a head coach, and that's what the future I want to continue with.
Whilst Ryan Giggs was being unveiled as the new national manager of Wales this week, his predecessor, the man who led his country to the European Championship semi-finals, was braving the cold and wind of the Sunderland training ground. Chris Coleman always wanted to get back into club management, but 2 months after his appointment in the North East, the question remains, why Sunderland? A side rock bottom of the Championship, up for sale, and with a widely disillusioned fan base who, before he arrived, hadn't seen their team win at home in nearly a year.
That's the question I ask myself, can I get them away from where they are? Can I turn them round? And that was a challenge for me. That's why I'm here. So I understand when people look at it and why they ask the questions they do, but for me, I thought, no, that's a big club. Being a part of, being in charge and being in the middle of a big club, can I turn the fortunes round? And that was a challenge for me, and that's why I came.
The Stadium of Light Hoodoo was at least ended. Victory against Fulham on the 16th of December, but they've won only one game since then and remain rooted to the foot of the Championship table. Saving Sunderland from successive relegations is the only target for the rest of this season, but even that is an almighty challenge.
We've got to get players in who want to fight for Sunderland and try and get us away from danger. And in the 10 games we've had, I mean, we played Borough in the Cup 2 weeks ago. We had like 12 players out, injured, unavailable. And there's always been 5 or 6 players unavailable, suspensions, injuries. So, you know, swimming against the current sometimes, it can beat you down if you let it and keep you down, but you can't. We've got to stay focused, stay confident and keep working hard, which we're doing. And that's how, you know, you get a bit of consistency.
The delight of leading his country to the Final Four in France suddenly feels like a lifetime ago for Chris Coleman, but what does he make of the man who has replaced him and Giggs' chances of repeating his success?
I know Ryan very well. I think he'll get the respect from the players. I think there's a good staff in place there. Ryan will want to do it his own way. He'll do it as he sees it, and rightly so. And I think there'll be a good atmosphere there as well. You have to forget whatever we did and however we done it. That's gone, it's past. It was great. No, it's Ryan's time, and everybody, we all need to be behind Ryan, give him what he needs, support him, because I needed support. You know, I needed time, I needed support, and that's what he should get. And I think he will. And I think it'll be a good appointment. I really do.
Giggs, for now, has time to get used to his new role. Wales' next match is not until the end of March. Time, though, is not on the side of Coleman, who needs results and fast to halt an alarming slide towards English football's 3rd tier.
Good luck, Chris.
Yes, you'll need it.
You see the wind up there? Everybody in the hats.
That's the northeast for you.
Right, question. Have a look at this. Okay. Can you spot the difference? Or indeed, is there a similarity between that and this?
Yes, there's a similarity.
They both say Wembley.
Yes.
That's the problem, I think. The first is
Wembley
the
FC.
Wembley FC logo. And they've used it since 1946. They went and legaled it, I think about 5-6 years ago.
Registered it, is it?
Yeah,
So
which has upset Wembley Stadium, because there are parts of the world now where they can't sell branded goods from Wembley Stadium. So they've taken Little Wembley to court over their logo. Brian Gum joins us, the chairman of Wembley FC. Brian, how much of a problem is this to you, and what do you expect the outcome to be?
Well, I hope to try and get it to resolve, to be quite truthful. They've actually spoken to us for the first time this week, and we've made a meeting for the 26th to see if we can resolve this issue. The problem being is, what you've got to realise is, this was created by Budweiser for us, which we would left it in a legacy, basically. And what the FA is trying to do is just railroad us and take it over, because they don't believe a little club like this should have it registered. It's not only registered in one country, it's registered in several countries, including Russia and Emirates, China, you name it, we're registered there. So basically, I feel a bit let down, because they are our neighbours. They went through the back door to do this. They've never really sat down and had a meeting with me and told me what they wanted. I'm not in the game to stop people trading. I'm not in that at all. But what I am in is for Wembley Football Club, and to see if it can help us out in any way, basically.
So what actually is their beef, Brian? What is the problem at its base?
Well, the problem is they've gone to China to register, and they've gone to the US to register, and they've been told quite clearly that they don't own it. We own it. Wembley Football Club own it for another 8 years. So basically, what they tried to do, without notifying ourselves, they went to the EU courts and had the ruling overturned, saying that the logo looks similar, etc., etc. Well, what I've been told is, we then said, OK, forget all this, what happens in the UK? could we register it in the UK? And if we did, would you object? Because it's going to cost us about £3,000 to £4,000 to register it in the UK. But if they object to it, then I lose my £4,000. So we asked them nicely, said, look, we ain't got a lot of money. Can we register it in the UK and keep our logo? They never got back to us to say A or nay. Then the BBC got involved. They then made a statement, and basically they left us out in the cold, and they're still leaving us out in the cold. At this meeting we've got on the 26th, they're fetching, against me and my attorney, they're fetching all the top legal people down because they said that we've given them a lot of bad publicity, which I don't believe. I think it's warranted, to be quite truthful.
I have to say, from a position of neutrality, I think you're absolutely right, to be fair. So actually the solution to this you're offering is that you register your logo in the UK and allow them to register their logo around the rest of the world.
Yes, but as I say, they've got to give us some compensation for it because it must be worth money to them, because it's a legacy what's left to us by Budweiser. And as the chairman of Wembley Football Club, which is a little club, but all the money helps. All I'm saying to them is, if it's worth money to you, if we was a big company, I've been told that they would have to pay lots of money for it because it's a trademark, and trademarks are worth money. And we've got 9,000 items listed, even down to boot polish, knickers, bras, you name it, it's registered. And if that's worth something to Wembley Stadium, I don't want to stop them trading at the end of the day, but be fair and be fair with us and pay for what you want. But they don't seem to want to do that.
Brian, are you registered simply as Wembley? Have you registered the name Wembley, or are you Wembley FC, Wembley Football Club?
We're Wembley FC Football Club.
Well, why, Brian, sorry, but why then can Wembley not register Wembley Stadium as a different entity totally?
I really don't know about trademarks. It's not my fault.
Not mine, that's what I'm asking.
It's very confusing. I'm only going by what I'm told. I don't know nothing about trademarks. And like I say, we inherited this from Budweiser. But the point is, it's worth money to somebody, and it's worth money to our club because we can still sell. Bearing in mind, the World Cup's in Russia. We've got the Russia market. So
good on you.
Nice one.
We've got the Russian market. We're registered in Russia, but they just want to railroad us in and take everything that we own. What they're actually saying to us is, in a layman's terms, is you're a small club, you shouldn't have a trademark, you have no right to have our trademark, so we're taking it back from you. Which, fair enough, that's their attitude, but we've got it. So if we've got it and you want it, I'm quite happy for them to sort something out with us.
Do you think, Brian, that they're actually just bullying you?
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's like working with a mafia at the moment. People saying to me, why don't you resolve it? You can only resolve it if people talk to you. They haven't spoken to us for over a year. They've only just spoken to us this week, simply because we've had over 30,000 hits on Twitter by this lady who done the petition for us. And a BBC, ITV, all the radio shows, simply because we give them publicity, they are talking to us. But until you now, they've sent us an email now saying that they're not very happy the way we've gone about it, saying that we've misled people. We have not misled anybody, and I can honestly say that. The terms what was done then are the same terms now. Until I get things in black and white from them to say this and that, then it's still the same aggravation that we're having.
Brian, stay in touch. Let us know how it works out, but good luck to you.
Bill, thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian, thank you. Extraordinary, isn't it?
I think Brian's the boss as well, isn't he? He's sitting in the manager's chair. The boss.
It's not fair, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, I don't know about trademarks, but I mean, it's quite simply, they're Wembley Football Club, they're Wembley Stadium.
Well, he's right. If you want it, we'll just re-register in the UK, and if you want the worldwide rights, you pay us for those. You can carry on. Simple.
No, but the big boy always bullies a little boy, remember?
Yeah, OK. Paul's with us. We'll talk more in just a moment.
Don't forget to click subscribe.